right into it. So we're gonna go for about, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. Just depends on how many questions we have and whatnot. We'll try to go through these in order, skipping any and all troll questions. All right. Hey Alex, what's up? We missed you last week. Thank you. I missed you as well. So how did the date with the Honduran cutie go? I had a date with a Honduran girl. I'm trying to remember who that is. Honduran girl. I don't remember. I think it might have been some other ethnicity. I don't remember the Honduran chick. It's been a while since I went out with a Honduran girl, as far as I recall. But sometimes it just all becomes a blur after a while. Bro, Alex, you should get Derek from More Place, More Dates on the live chat. He has pretty interesting discussions on bodybuilding, pharmacology, and he used to do a lot of pickup. Yeah, I actually really want to get him on. So he's on my list of people I definitely want to get on. Probably the big issue is that he has a lot more subscribers than me, so it's not going to be an even trade for him. So I've noticed that like when I hit up people who have like over 300, 400,000 subs, like they're sometimes just hesitant to come on because they just see it as a lopsided trade. But I for sure want to get him on at some point, especially as the channel grows, which is why if you guys hit the subscribe button, and the more subscribers I get, basically the more leeway I have to get on cool guests. Another little side thing. Actually, since we're on the topic, let me put on my little subscribe now banner. Bam. All right. Next question. I don't like sending their "that was fire" emoji text. Isn't necessary. Luckily, a lot of girls mentioned me first day after, but how about proceeding without directly mentioning it? I mean, it's good to acknowledge that you had. I mean, you don't have to send that text verbatim, but it's good to acknowledge that you had a good time with her. If you don't text the girl, it's kind of like she's like, oh, did this guy just want a one-night stand? Maybe he did, and she doesn't want to, she obviously doesn't want to get rejected by putting herself out there like, oh, I don't want to be a fool and something like that. So that's why it's good because you're the man, so you have to kind of lead and establish, kind of the frame. So that's why I like that text. But you can, say something like, I had a lot of fun, or, like, whatever, is there a bruise on your ass, or just anything that basically says that suggests that you enjoyed the evening. That's basically the premise. Are there any types of girls you avoid, like crazy types who might lie about you later or might have a fake accusation of assault? Yeah, there's a bunch of types of girls that I avoid. It's not so much that though. I avoid I avoid chicks who play too hard to get. I'm not into that shit. So if a girl's like, just like thinks she's a giant princess and she's just playing, all these weird games, it's like, I'm just going to, whatever, just brush it off. I actually had a date 4 days ago and she's super annoying, pretty attractive, but not so hot to justify it. And I brought her back to my place and she was just playing all these games and shit. And I'm just like, okay, cool. You know what? It's good night. Like I just was like, man, like probably 2 years ago, I would have gone for it, and it would have been a long night of LMR, and ultimately I would have closed most likely. But I just nowadays I'm like whatever, like and just invite another girl over. So yeah, like any girls who like I don't know, just have this princess complex, play too hard to get. I don't like girls who are super entitled or demanding. That's a big turnoff for me. So if a girl says something like you have to buy me dinner and then maybe you'll get lucky, or like you have to take me out somewhere fancy, and she says that like seriously and without like humor, then I'll just be like, no, like I don't, goodbye. I don't like that. I don't like girls who are super like, I don't know, super bitchy and cunty, like super uptight. I'm not into that either. I don't really like prude girls. So basically I like girls who are cool, nice, sexually open, friendly, like that's my thing. And so yeah, there's definitely types I will avoid, but it's not so much because I'm worried about sexual complaints or something like that. It's just more that I'm just not going to vibe with those girls. Do you approach differently with really inexperienced or innocent girls? I honestly don't really go for those types of girls. As I was mentioning earlier, like I don't really want to be the guy that has to teach her everything, and we have to fuck like a dozen times before the sex even gets good. I have to teach her how to give a blowjob, how to whatever. Like I don't want to do that. Like I'd rather go out with girls who are at least somewhat experienced. Like it's the same thing if I was hiring, someone to, help out with playing with fire. I wouldn't want to hire someone, like if I was hiring a tech guy, I wouldn't want to hire someone who has no experience with technology, right? I'd want to hire someone who I don't have to show them everything. Like they can actually do the job from day one. I think, this analogy applies with chicks as well. Like I don't want a total noob. For some guys, that's a turn on, but for me, it's not. The fact that I'm going to die fills me with anxiety and depression. It kind of helps. But is there a way to fix this? Yeah, I just honestly just avoid all those thoughts. I just don't think about it. Death is pretty scary, I guess. I mean, if you value your life, death is scary. So yeah, I just try to put those thoughts out of my head. There's just certain things that I never, think about. Like for example, my parents are probably going to die one day, but my dog will die before me. But like, I just try not to like ever like entertain those thoughts, and just focus on things that I have control over and things that matter to me. Generally try to focus on like positive things. But yeah, there's no like magic like technique or something like that. It's just generally like you want to just direct your focus. But a certain amount of like background thoughts is normal. Like even if you're doing like, say you're doing cold approach and you've been at it for like years and you're really good. Like even like when I go out, like I still get like some background noise, like, oh, this chick, she looks too stuck up. She's gonna whatever. It's gonna be like a waste of time. Like, or oh, she's walking too fast. Like you're probably not gonna be able to stop her. Like those thoughts still enter your mind. But you just get better and better at tuning them out and just redirecting your focus. I think that's where meditation is really helpful, because it's like basically the practice of just constantly directing your focus. For me, also working out is pretty helpful, because when I enter the gym, I'm like, oh, like fuck, it's gonna be, I'm too tired for this, or I'm not gonna be able to do this exercise, too challenging. So I have to like basically find myself and like, no, redirect my focus. And then I try to really focus on the muscles, the motion of the muscles, like form of meditation. I think Arnold used to say that as well. Okay, update on AMS. So yeah, he hasn't responded to my DMs. Feel almost gay, like talking about like my update on another man. But yeah, I don't know. He just hasn't shown any interest. I had a mutual friend reach out to him, and he basically said no. Like, or it's not so much that he doesn't want to come on our podcast. Apparently, he just doesn't like to do podcasts in general with people who he's not friends with. I don't know. So I'm gonna keep trying. And ultimately, I do want to get him on. But honestly, like I disagree with a good amount of things that Amos says. I mean, I think it would be a very interesting debate. Like I think it would be very valuable. But yeah, I don't really, and I do think that he has some good points, but I don't really think that he's like as good as a lot of people make him out to be. How do you listen to a woman's problems without getting friend zoned or being a therapist? One girl in my rotation is great. I like helping her, but I don't want to fall into beta behaviors. Well, if you're banging her, then you're not going to get friend zoned, right? She's in your rotation, assumes that sex is happening. So I don't think you have to really worry about that. I don't know. Like I generally try to like be there for, the chicks who are in my life, more or less to a reasonable degree. Like, if they have a hard day or something like that, like I know one of the girls who, I'm hanging out with, she got, she might be listening to this right now, but, she had a family issue. And, I called her, like, even though we weren't hanging out, just to like see how it was going, stuff like that. So just being a decent human being and like showing concern is not like gonna, it's not beta. It's not going to get you friend zoned. Now she's complaining all the time, like nonstop, unreasonable amount. Like she's just using you. You can, address that. Like, hey, listen, like, I really like you. I like hanging out with you. But, I noticed lately, you've really been, I've almost become like your therapist. Like I want to help you, but I feel like this dynamic might not be the best or something like that. Just like a very polite but firm way of redirecting that. But that's probably not the case. Most chicks will pick up on the hint that they're, just kind of, I don't know, just behaving improperly, so as to say. So yeah, so I think that a lot of it is just more guys worrying that they're, engaging in beta behaviors when in reality they're just being like a normal person. All right, so my friend isn't faithful with his girlfriend. She messaged me asking about, I didn't say anything, but I feel bad and complicit. Would it be violating bro? Yes, it would definitely be violating the bro code. I mean, if it's your friend, I'm sure he tells you this stuff in confidence. This would be like me, like if you tell me like something like you hire me to coach, whatever, you hire me as your coach, and you tell me something that you don't want other people to know. Like you tell me about a bad experience you had with another coach, and like, dude, please keep this confidential. And I just like tell that coach when he asks me, like, that would be like a gross reach of like privacy. So same thing. So yeah, definitely a big violation of the bro code. And if one of my friends did that, I would probably end that friendship, to be honest. Alex, I've noticed that you don't use punctuation in your texting. Is this because it's beta? No, punctuation is not beta. It's just more so that it's largely unnecessary. So we're talking about like 0.01%. Like this is not the stuff that's going to make it or break it. This is stuff that's largely irrelevant. But if we're going to go down the rabbit hole, the underlying theory is that like a guy who's super high value when he's communicating, like he's going to say everything as succinctly as possible because he's so busy and he probably doesn't even have time to fuck with punctuation. That's kind of where the underlying theory is. Now, I'm sure that, like, again, if I did a case study where, I mean, it's impossible to really test this out, but like if I had 100 girls and then like fucking, I send them the same text with or without punctuation, and like there's some way to like control for all the variables, we're talking maybe like a 0.01%, like whatever factor of significance. So yeah, it's a very small detail, but largely I just find this unnecessary. I had to quarantine because COVID. I ignored Tinder for 2 weeks. Now my ELO is dog shit. I'm barely getting likes. And when they're all fours, I have Tinder go. What I do? So yeah, so just not being on Tinder. So this is a big misconception. Not being on Tinder for 2 weeks is not going to crash your ELO score. It's like it might affect it for a day, but you're not going to get a permanent difference in your ELO score for any significant period of time. Because you didn't go on Tinder for 2 weeks. So don't worry about it. You're gonna very quickly return back to baseline. If you're not getting many matches, it's not because you were away from your phone. It was because your profile probably sucks or it isn't as good as you think it is. So what you can do is you can make a post in the PWF forums, and I will take a look at it. Forums.playingfire.com. Old school guys like Paul Jenkins say close rate is about 10%. Do you think that's still accurate considering apps like Tinder exist, which is mainly used to smash? Yeah, well, Paul Janko was talking about cold approach, but I generally do think that's a pretty accurate number. And he's not talking about just like out of the girls he goes on dates with. He's talking about something like out of the phone numbers he gets, out of the leads that he's working, like 10% lead to sex, which is pretty accurate. Like if I'm talking 10 girls on Tinder, I'll probably fuck one of them, like at most. Like that's why running high volume is important. So like 10% may seem like kind of discouraging, but if you have 100 leads, that's 10 chicks, right? That's like kind of a lot of pussy. So so it's definitely true. Like I don't think anyone who's saying they're fucking like 50% of the girls or something like that, or 90% is just straight up lying. And me and J-Muff have actually talked about this, and he said he actually is a lot more scientific about pickup, but he said that he basically did some kind of big analysis one day of all his like leads and shit, and his number was like right under 10% as well. Hey man, I have a question about I'm going out on dates. I've never been in one in my life, and after getting PW private, I'm about to go on my first date soon. How should I go about the date and escalate? Damn, dude. I mean, well, you just gotta get the experience. I find it very impressive that you have never been on a date. But yeah, I mean, you have to get the experience. I mean, chances are the first time you will be a bit nervous, and you'll probably, do a lot of things that you will later realize you shouldn't have done. Well, that's okay. Just kind of. I mean, that's a whole thing. You have the PWF product. So we have a chapter 9 is all about chapter 9 or chapter 10 is all about how to run dates. So just go through that in detail. I mean, I kind of go into it a lot there, but the basic premise is just to lead and, don't be too uptight. Don't be like too fucking stiff. Just try to relax and also try to move things forward. Those are the two big things probably to keep in mind. Now, disagree. She's saying that if she talks about her promise it's because she already sees you as a friend. No, the guy said she's in his rotation too. So he's banging her. I mean, so the girls, some of the girls who I see tell me about their problems. It doesn't mean that I'm their friend. It's just normal. Like your friends, like think about it this way: your male friends sometimes tell you about their problems. Doesn't mean they're using you as a therapist. That's like a sign of friendship. Like you talk about shit that's bothering you. So yeah. All right, wait. We just skipped a bunch of comments. Best thing to say when a girl says hi on Bumble. I don't know. My go-to is, I was waiting for you to message me with a winky face. I find that works pretty well. So the girl's like, ooh, why were you waiting? Like, ooh, why's that? And then you can kind of say, oh, because you're my type. And it's very easy to segue. For beginners starting on Tinder, is it better to invest in low interest girls or just stick to high interest ones? So let me kind of give a little background. So think about, the girls that you meet in real life and on Tinder or whatever as 3 different categories, right? High interest, medium interest, and low interest. Vast majority of your results will come from high interest girls. The second part, and then let's say 80%, then the other 19% will come from medium interest girls, and then 1% will come from low interest girls. So, in theory, you should focus more of your attention up here. Now, unfortunately, what happens is a lot of guys, they focus like 50% to 80% of their attention on low interest girls, which is now where a lot of the results are going to come from. I learned this principle when I was doing sales. Like, my sales trainer would tell me, like, Alex, don't focus on the clients who are really hesitant. Like, I know that you like to convince people and win the frame battle, but actually focus on the yes clients, the yes prospects. And when I started doing that, I started getting a lot more sales. And it's the same thing with pickup. So it depends. To answer your question, it depends on how much volume you have coming in. Let's say you're a beginner, but you have a dope profile and you have 30, 40, 50 matches coming in every day. But yeah, focus all your energy on the high investment and the leftover energy on the medium investment. Let's say you're a little low on leads. Let's say you have a few leads every day, and just focus on every girl, but be able to recognize, it just depends on how many leads you have and how much time you have. But generally speaking, I do focus most of my energy on high interest and medium interest girls, because I know that's where most of my results are going to come from. How long after the first date do you usually wait to hit up the girl for a second date? Specifically, if you hooked up with the first time, want to try to get, I definitely text her like that night or at the very latest the next day. Depends on the context. I'll probably ask her out within a day or two. Depends also on my schedule. But, I'll probably hit her up that night, tell her, hey, I had a good time with you or something like that, or that was fun. Then, text her a little bit back and forth the next day. And within a few days, I'm setting up, the next day. You don't want to wait too long because then, things cool off. So if you want to lock a girl down, the goal is to get 2 or 3 bangs in as soon as possible. Once you get I think 3 bangs in, then that's already just more or less locked down at that point. Hey, Alex, I'm trying to get a girl to write me more. How do I do that? So check out my video on how to build interest over text. It kind of answers that pretty well. Curious to know what it was like getting COVID-19 in terms of the symptoms and how it affects you after you recover. For example, the sequela. Yeah, so I had what were my symptoms? It was total loss of smell. I lost probably 90% of my taste, which was weird because I was eating food and you just don't taste anything. So whether the food is good or bad, you can't tell the difference. It's a very, very weird feeling if you've never experienced that. And you also can't smell anything. It was probably, I had COVID for probably a week or week and a half before I even realized it. I just thought I had a flu or something like that. Because I didn't have any kind of temperature. So I thought that if you don't have a temperature, it's probably not COVID. But then I did the test and it came out positive for COVID. And then what really helped me recover was high dose vitamin C IVs. I remember I did 2 weeks in, I did a high dose vitamin C IV. And literally I did it at 3, 4 p.m. and around 8 or 9 p.m. my nose opened up for the first time in 2 weeks. I could actually breathe. And then I did another one on a few days later, and then 50% of my taste came back and 10% of my smell, and did one more, and then pretty much within a few days of doing the third one, I was 95% back to normal. But yeah, I don't have any lingering issues. I never really did with COVID. I don't have any, my sense of smell is back to normal. My sense of taste is back to normal. I'm not tired anymore. But yeah, the 3 symptoms I had were fatigue, loss of sense of smell, and loss of sense of taste. And that's pretty much it, honestly. Hi, Alex. What kind of approach would be good to take on old classmates or close friends you want to hook up with? Thanks. Well, depends on the context, really, of what kind of dynamic you guys have. Yeah, it's kind of a tricky question. A lot of it depends, do you guys have a more flirty type of thing where maybe you were in a relationship, she was in a relationship, but you guys always kept it flirty, which would be one thing, or it's been super formal and friendly, which would be another thing. But generally, I would probably set up a situation where you don't do this over text or something like that. Get her out on a date to a bar or something like that, or over your place for a bottle of wine, in a place where you can, you're alone, you're having drinks, kind of both get a little tipsy, kind of where, inhibitions go down. And then, just make a move, honestly, and then she's like, whoa, I thought we were friends. I'm like, yeah, but I think you're honestly too cute to be my friend. And you just escalate, right? And yeah, that's kind of how I would approach it. But, a lot of it will, again, depend on the context. Okay, we just answered this question. Favorite city in Latin America? I can't really answer that question because I've only been to a few. So I've been to, let's see, I've been to Guadalajara, I've been to Cancun, Playa del Carmen in Mexico, I've been to Cali, Medellin, Bogota, and Cartagena in Colombia. And that's it. I've never been to Brazil. I've never been to Argentina. I've never been to Chile, Peru. So out of all the places that I've been, which is very limited, it's Medellin by far. I think Medellin is an awesome city. You have like gorgeous girls. You have awesome weather. You have really good food. A lot of it really healthy. You have beautiful mountain scenery, which might be my favorite part. Just like the scenery in Medellin is gorgeous. And somewhat safe. Like for Latin America, it's fairly safe, safer than other cities in Colombia. So yeah, out of what I've been, that would be the one. But I've heard good things about Florianopolis. John loves that city. I've heard good things about Santiago. So there's a lot of cities that I've left to check out. When I approach girls at supermarkets, I sometimes end up having good convo and get numbers. But later, when I text, don't hear back. These chicks definitely seem the model type. Well, a certain percentage of girls will not write. I would say 50% of the numbers I get, the girl doesn't respond. I remember I went out with my buddy. We were just walking my dog, and I got like 3 numbers in the span of like 20 or 30 minutes. And I was like, fuck yeah, like that's going to be like, and they all seemed really solid to me. And literally, like, not a single one of those girls wrote back. And then some days I'll get what I think is like a somewhat shaky number. Like maybe the girl will be with her mom, and I'll just get the number real quick, but I don't have enough time to really build a vibe. And the chick will be super responsive. And a few days later, we'll come straight to the house. So there's a lot of variability to it. So it is at the end of the day, partially a numbers game. The one big piece of advice I can have for you is when you're going for the number close, before you do that, say something like, hey, listen, we should grab drinks sometime. Like actually give the premise for why you're getting the number, right? So if at that point, some girls might be like, oh yeah, that would be fun, but I have a boyfriend or something like that. So you kind of get the objection out of the way. So give her the reason why, like, listen, like I got it wrong, but you and I should definitely grab drinks sometime, right? And she's like, yeah, that sounds fun. And then you get the number. That's probably going to be a little bit more of a solid number. Hey, Alex, I bought your product a while ago. I wrote a couple of reports. So I just want to say I got 18 count in about a year. Thank you to you, and I appreciate it a ton. Nice, man. I'm really glad to hear. Mucho apreciados. How do you go about trying to build a monogamous relationship with a girl you've hooked up with? Bro, this is PWF. We don't have monogamous relationships here. No, I'm just kidding. How would I go about building a monogamous relationship? I would probably, I would probably hook up with her a few times. Like, I think you don't want to just like fucking jump into it right after the first time you fuck. But if you've hung out with a girl a bit, you guys have good sex, you have a good connection, you have good chemistry, like you've hung out a bit, and and so it's like you're buying the car after thoroughly test driving. And then at that point, you might say, hey, listen, I really like you. I want to be whatever. I want to be together with you or something like that. I would say something like that, or how do you feel about, something like that. Like I would and also do a lot more like show with my actions rather than with words. But honestly, typically every relationship I've been in, the girl was the one that kind of tried to make it monogamous, not me. And I've heard the argument that some guys make that generally speaking, those ones are more solid. And I kind of agree with that, actually. Like if a girl's the one that's pushing for the relationship, then it's probably going to be a more solid relationship. So I would say don't be too eager to just jump into the relationship. You want to proceed with like the frame of a guy who's like, he has a lot of options, so he's weary. He's not like ready to commit to the first option. Like he has a lot of choices, so he's kind of seeing, and she almost has to like win you over to get the relationship. How to spark girls most? So check out the video, How to Build Interest Over Text. That one definitely breaks it down. I want to quickly point out this quant. You're white. Thank you. I did not realize that. I always thought I was quarter black and a quarter Asian, but that's a good point. I am white. Yikes. If you're messaging a conservative librarian-looking girl, would you still cold read and try to frame that she has a bit of wild side, or if she has fun kink tattoo? If not, how would you proceed? Well, I think appearances can be deceiving, but yeah, I would try to feel out the vibe, like with what she like. Dude, I've had some girls who look so fucking shy and conservative, just be the biggest freaks. A few weeks, it's like a month ago, I was walking down the street with Rhaegar and I met a chick. She looked like, I don't even know how. I think she started talking about the dog, but she looked so young. In reality, she was 30, but she looked like super young. Fucking had braces. like just like walking with her mom, like looked super nervous, super shy. That girl was a giant fucking freak. Like that chick was into like being choked, being spanked hard, just being called a slut. So appearances can be so deceiving sometimes. And sometimes chicks who look really freaky are just like actually pretty plain. But yeah, I just kind of feel out the vibe. Like I would say like, my favorite, like something like, ooh, are you gonna wear your sexy librarian outfit on our date or something like that? Like just try to see, just check out my video on how to sexualize over text. The argument I make there is that you want to just go 5%, 5%, 5%. You want to go from 0 to 100. You want to just slowly amp up the bar and just feel out the vibe along the way. Okay, gave my number to speed things up, and she never hit me up. Waited a couple days and asked if she's shy, and she said, my response, guess we'll see. And she said, no, my response, guess we'll see. Let me know if you're ready to start texting. Yeah, I would need to see the screenshots. Just make a post in the forums, and we can take a look. About to go on a date in 40 minutes. Any tips on verbally building up the sexual tension? Yeah, I mean, again, like with sexual tension, I think that a big part of that. Check out, actually, you know what? The best thing you can do is watch my video on how to physically escalate and build sexual tension, because there's like a demonstration in there. But generally speaking, a lot of it is eye contact, strong eye contact, proximity. Like if you get closer to the girl, just if you keep doing everything else the same, but you're physically closer to her, there's more sexual tension. So proximity is a big one that people always forget. Eye contact, light touches, just like touching her arm, maybe like touching her a little bit more. Quite often what I'll do is I'll just brush a girl's hair back and just carry on the conversation. Your speech, just slowing down the rate at which you talk, not talking really fast, just holding more tension. So a lot of it is actually nonverbal. So I'll focus more on nonverbal sexual. The thing is that with verbally escalating sexually, it's a lot of it is contextual. So I can't really give you like an exact, this is exactly what you have to say. I mean, you can do I do a lot of like sexual humor. So I'll be like, oh, that's what she said. Right. Like, so the girl will say, yeah, today it was really hard getting here. I'll be like, oh, that's what she said. Like, it doesn't even have to make that much sense. The girl will be like, oh, stop. You have such a dirty mind. Like, no, I'm like really a shy virgin. So I don't know anything about any of this. I don't know. So yeah, you can just kind of fuck around with that. So in terms of verbals, I would say humor is a big go-to. My man Prince-O is on. Thank you, bro. Mucho apreciados. Prince, we got to have you on a live stream. You should come on. We'll talk offline, but yeah, man, I want to have you on for a live stream sometime soon. How much does your job, college, man, online dating? Your college pretty much makes zero difference. Your job makes minimal difference. It's largely irrelevant, I would say. Would you consider young girls to be more time wasters, consuming attention seekers, talking about early 20s? On average, yeah. On average, for sure. I found that girls who are older in their 30s a lot more, serious about meeting up than girls who are like 18, 19. At that point, a lot of them. Also, it's like the Snapchat, fucking TikTok generation. They're so ADD and shit. Like the two girls who I'm seeing now, they're both like, one of them is 30, one of them is 34. Like I'm mostly like in terms of, I hook up with girls all across the spectrum, but in terms of like booty calls, mostly girls mid to late 20s or early 30s. Like I haven't had like a 19 or 20-year-old on rotation in a long time, simply because they're fucking, so ADD. A lot of them are flaky, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's kind of one thing I've noticed. Met a girl during the day that has a boyfriend. She asked if we could go for a run, and we did. I don't know where we stand, and she's been with her boyfriend for 3 years, but she advised to get late. So it seems like this is rapidly heading towards the friend zone. I would just avoid like all friendly type of dates. Like if she's like, oh, can we go for a run? I'd be like, I have a better idea. Let's grab a drink. Like, so you want to reframe. You don't want to be doing always what she's suggesting. You want to be the one making the plans, not her. Where we stand, I know you can easily find out. You can invite her to split a bottle of wine, and her response will basically tell you, where she stands. But you can obviously hook up with girls who have boyfriends. It's not like that's an automatic no. Especially if she's hanging out with you, probably means that she either likes you as a friend or there's some sexual interest. Okay, you've done videos on how to go from Tinder match to her coming over. I was wondering if you'll ever do a video on what to do when she's actually at your place. How do you usually go from there? So yeah, the tricky thing with that again, so I do want to do a video like that. Like I've wanted to do that for a while and it's been highly requested. The problem is that I can't like actually film. So this is the dilemma I run into is that if I tell the girl that this is, I'm videotaping this, then first of all, it's going to probably weird out most girls, but I could probably get around that, some percentage of the time. But even the fact that, aside from the fact that the girl's going to be weirded out, she's going to be modifying her behavior. So it's not going to be good infield because she's not going to act the same way she would naturally. If I don't tell her, then basically it's illegal. And, even like, let's take the ethical argument aside, like it's illegal for me to, share that, right? Because you can't videotape people in places where there's an expectation of privacy. So that's why you're allowed to legally videotape in public, but you can't videotape back at your place because there's an expectation of privacy. So that's a dilemma I run into. So without showing you guys, it really just comes down to like me saying, and I've kind of done that before. I have a video called how to get laid on the first date. And in that video, I talk about exactly what to do when the girl's, back at your place. But yeah, I mean, I can't really go further than that. Now, what I am thinking about doing is, this is obviously not the perfect solution, but I think it's the best that I can do, is do more like demonstration videos with girls who I'm hooking up with. So what I might do is I might, get one of my booty calls and have my roommate practice like, just building sexual tension with her, and then I'll kind of critique his game and what he should do better. I actually got this idea from teaching a guy who was living with me because he was so bad at like escalating what doing on dates. So I convinced my booty call to let him practice on her. And then I would just like kind of critique it. And I was like, oh, wait, we should be videotaping this right now because this is going to be good. So I think that's probably going to be the best solution to that. If you guys have better ideas on how I can go about this without actually like doing something illegal, then I'm more than open to it. So you guys are always welcome to like, tell me what exactly kind of content you want to see more of. And I do try to really create a lot of content that people request. Good. Academy transfer. Good. How would you reply in this convo? Her, why am I wild? You just a feeling. Am I wrong? Her, yes, you're wrong. I would just probably say, okay, so I guess you're an angel like me. Just make a joke out of it. Or you can even say, okay, good. An angel just like me. Hey, Alex, how do I become as good looking as you? Bro, there's no way. I mean, like, I'm a perfect Chad, dude. 11 out of 10 genetics, man. Like, my dad was a Greek god. My mom was a Greek goddess, like just fucking, and they came off of this perfect offspring. I don't know if this is a serious question or not, but just focus on the things you can control. Get your facial. I'm not even that good right now. My facial hair is a little bit sloppy, but I try to go to like a, decent barbershop once every 2 weeks and have them line me up really well. So having a sharp, beard trim and haircut, is highly underrated. Get good fashion, like actually, dress well. Hit the gym and put on muscle. Wear cologne. Get your teeth whitened. Like there's a lot of things that you can do though within your control. I have a video called how to increase your sexual market value. So check that out as well. Hey, Alex, to get girls in your rotation, you have to give them a good sexual experience so they come back for good sex. How do you introduce oils and toys to her? Yeah, I'd just say like, hey, like while I'm fucking her, I'll be like, hey, I just grab the Hitachi Magic Wand and just basically put it on her. And sometimes the girl will be like, oh, when's the last time you washed that? And I'll be like, oh, where I cleaned it. And she'll be like, okay, cool. And some chicks are just not into toys. Like, and they'll be like, oh, maybe next time, something like that. A lot of it just depends on what she's into. Also, I'm like feeling out, every girl has her own things. Oils is going to be really easy. Like oils, I'll be like, hey, let me give you a massage. Like, but I'll typically do this stuff after we fuck already. So my goal initially is just to get, I don't want to make the initial sexual encounter any more difficult than it has to be. I don't want to add any extra challenges. Like I don't want to give her any reason to reconsider. Then after the bang, then you can start doing stuff like toys, or be like, hey, listen, like I'm gonna give you a massage and you just put oil. The oil thing every girl will agree to. Toys is more a hit and miss. How do you get girls of medium interest to text first? Well, you're not, because if they're medium interest, they're probably not going to text first. If they're texting first, then they're probably going to be high interest. So, yeah, I don't really think there's a way. A girl is either going to be high interest and she's going to be hitting you up a lot, or a medium interest girl will probably go along with the plans you make, but she's not going to really show that much initiative, and that's okay. You don't have to I think there's erroneous focus in the community on like, oh, how do I get the girl to like text me first or do this? But like, that's not my goal. My goal is just simply, get the girl, like, get hot girls. I don't really care whether she messages me first or I message her first. All that is like largely irrelevant. Alex, a year ago I was shy as fuck. I'm getting more and more confident each day. Where should I start to meet girls? You want to diversify. So dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, cold approach, meet girls during the day when you're just running errands. Go out with your buddies at night. Don't go crazy, but also go for the scene that you like. Like me personally, I like more chill bars, relaxed, where you can talk, and ideally a place where I can bring my dog. And also I like to hang out with my friends. So like I won't go to clubs because I fucking hate clubs, but I will go to like a chill, outdoor bar, and with a few of my buddies. So yeah, just combination of online, you're going to get a lot of leads from that amongst various apps. Then, day game as you're running errands, and then, going out to bars with your friends. Is it true it's basically impossible legit 9.5s and 10s? RSD promised me I could pull them, but I never did. Then Todd wiped a 5. I was confused. Yeah, anything RSD says is largely bullshit. But no, of course it's not possible. Like 9.5s and 10s also have sex. Like they're not like what do you think like 10s are doing? They're just like, oh, I'm a 10. I'm going to be asexual forever. Like no, they're just actually in some situations it's almost can be easier to get a 10 than an 8 because some guys won't approach the 10 because they're just like so nervous. So if you have swagger and you can approach a 10 confidently, that almost might be in some situations better than approaching the 8. So yeah, it's absolutely possible. It's just rare. The thing is that it's not so much that it's hard to get 10s. It's just that there's not that many 10s out there in most cities because if someone is a 10, then just by nature they're hotter than like 99.9% of the population. But if you're in a city like Miami or LA or a city with a lot of hot girls, then it becomes a whole different ballpark. Where if you're in like a small town and there's like 2 10s, then like yeah, of course they're just more rare. So by that point they're going to be probably more demand. So a lot of it is also going to depend on where you live. Like for example, in Medellin, Colombia, it's like the chicks there are just like stunning hot, right? But there's so many hot girls there that just being hot with big tits is not really that much of a currency there. Like that's not like it's like they're not on a pedestal simply because there's so many other hot girls there. But that same hot ass Paisa girl moves to like some small city in America, and suddenly she's the only big titty hot Latina, and then suddenly she's basically put on a pedestal. So location is a big factor. I've been dating this woman before lockdown. Things were good, but things have been downhill since lockdown. She's investing barely no initiative on her side, which would be my approach here. Get her out. Get her out. Actually, don't do the shit over text. Get her out. Bang her after sex. Just bring up, like whatever. Just elephant in the room. Like, hey, I noticed you've been kind of distant lately. Like, is something on your mind? Like, just call it out. But do this. Don't do this over text. Do this in person after sex. Hey, Alex, how do you get those dimes to place hard to get? Again, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier is that, first of all, I don't really go for girls who play too hard to get, like girls who are just like so entitled. Like that's just a big turnoff for me. Unless the girl's like really, really my type. I mean, I have made some notorious exceptions in my life. But you probably more or less the same way you get other girls. Like it's not like your game has to radically change. If you're talking to a 7 versus talking to a 9, it's not like you have to radically change your game or something like that. Like I calibrate my game more based on the girl and her personality and her archetype rather than her hotness level. It's like, oh shit, I have to run my 9.5 game tonight. It's going to be so much different than my 8.5 game. So yeah, it's kind of like my take on that. Alex, my friend's 5'1". Is it basically over for him? Well, I'm not going to lie. Your friend has a very, very uphill battle. I mean, he definitely got the short end of the genetic lottery. That's not to say it can't be done. I mean, for him, honestly, if you're 5'1", a big thing to focus on is going to be status and money. If I'm just being truthful. The thing is that height is like, if you're like 5'7", you can still crush it with chicks because you're still going to be like, okay, just tall enough. If you're even 5'6", but 5'1" is just so short for a man that's really going to be an uphill battle. So at that point, you really have to focus on status and money for that guy. How do I improve my Tinder profile photo-wise with COVID-19? Barely have quality photos. Well, I I don't understand how COVID-19 affects your profile photos. I'm assuming then by your question that you did not have a Tinder profile before COVID started, so you're new, because I'm still using all the same pictures I was using 2 years ago. But just go out there and fucking take pics, honestly, man. Like I don't really sweat the COVID thing unless you have a compromised immune system or you live with an elderly family member. It's largely not a big deal. So just go out there and take photos anyway. Just get a buddy, take some pics of you. I wouldn't really sweat it too much. Is Tinder Gold worth getting? Yes. So I have a video on this, my review of Tinder Gold. Yeah, I think it's largely worth it, especially if you have a good amount of volume coming in. If you have like no matches at all, like Tinder Gold is not going to be a magic solution that's going to take you from like no results to a lot of results, but it does make like managing your leads easier. And I think there's enough advantages to justify the price. What's the monthly rent on an apartment like that? On my place, it's $3,100. I have a roommate, so we split it down the middle, $1,550. Yeah. Hey, Alex, I'm on vacation, so can't bring her back to mine. Since I have family, I want to bring toys over to her. How do I get over her objections? I think you're overcomplicating things, man. Don't bring toys over her place. Like you're just adding unnecessary complexity. Well, if this is your booty call, maybe it's different. But if this is just a girl who you're like just hanging out with, like don't add unnecessary complexity. Just go to her place and smash. Don't like try to add unnecessary challenges to the situation. Keep skipping questions. All right. How do I ask for the meetup via text? Do you like wine? She's like, yeah, I do. Good. We should split a ball sometime soon. We should get together sometime soon, or just any number of variations of the soft close. Yeah, Alex, what spots would you recommend to meet single women in person during the quarantine? I'm 18, so I'm comfortable with 1822. How would you approach? I suspect just cold approaching. Well, honestly, online is going to be the easiest because then you can just set your range to the age range. So it's like that's a big advantage of online. But aside from that, I mean, I'm 30, so I haven't been 18 in 12 years. But where would I go to meet 18-year-old girls? A big one used to be universities, right? That would be like the number one place. But universities, at least most of them are closed, so that's no longer an option. I would say like just day game. Just walking around, it depends also on your city and how much stuff is open. I think that's going to be another factor. But like if your city is like somewhat open, like the mall might be a good one. Like a lot of chicks will go to the mall, like younger girls, or like a shopping area or like outlets, stuff like that. What's your lay count? Probably like between, I don't know it exactly. It's probably like over 350, under 500, probably somewhere between probably like around the 400 somewhere, something like that. StreamYard, it's by far the best. Hey, Alex, what's your take on anything long distance? How should you go about talking to them to keep them interested? Depends on the context. So is this a girl who you haven't even, because I see a lot of guys like trying to like set up shit with girls who they've never met up with, who live like, 5 hours away. And I'm always like, dude, you're fucking wasting your time. It depends on how well I know the girl and how much I like her. Like, is she my girlfriend who I have really strong feelings for and am considering, settling down with? Or is this a random girl who I banged once? So yeah, just kind of write in with more context and then I can give you more clarification. All right, we got a guy writing in Russian. I can read this, but I feel like most people won't get it, so we'll just skip that. Most girls go silent after you seem just like my type. When they ask what my type is, cute and curvy with a bit of wild side. Is there unique replies or just are you always this talkative? Or you can just say, am I wrong? So what I like to do when double texting is just kind of build on what I said earlier. So I'll just say like, if I say cute and curvy with a bit of wild side, she doesn't respond, I will just follow up with, am I wrong? ? What's your gym routine? Dude, honestly, it's not that great. As I'm sure you guys know, I have a neck issue, and it was okay for a while. Then like 3-4 months ago, like 2-3 months ago, it got like, I don't know, I heard it somehow again. Well, I don't really know what happened. But anyway, so right now it's mainly I'm doing rehab exercise at the gym. I'm doing like old man fucking workouts with like, those like resistance bands and just like training my like rotator cuff and doing like isometrics for my neck. But 3 months ago, generally, first of all, I'm definitely not an expert on this by far. Like I think there's much better sources than me. But generally, what I was doing was I was doing 6 days, training 6 days a week, split routine. So day one, I would do like legs and chest, and generally I would try to mostly focus on dumbbells and compound movements. I wouldn't really do so much machines. Day one, legs and chest. Day two, I would do pulling. So I would do pull-ups. I would do dips. I would do a lot of stuff like that. And day three, I would do more like rows along with arms. So I would do like biceps, triceps. And I would do shoulders, I think, on day one or something like that. And then day four, I would repeat day one. And then day 7, I would take off. So again, but that's like, I don't think that's an optimal workout. It's just something that kind of worked for me. Do you try to BLMR these days or not bother? It just depends. It depends on how much I like the girl and how, like, is she really hot, or is she just like kind of just passable? Is she someone who I really see myself like, vibing with and, her being my booty call, or is this like she's annoying and I just think it's going to be a one-night stand? When was the last time I got laid? Did I get laid like literally, like 12 hours ago, or has it been like a few days for me? So it just really depends on a lot of factors. I'll definitely put in some effort. Like if I'm already on a date with a girl and I'm getting to the point where LMR is coming up, then generally speaking that like she's probably at least somewhat attractive and probably I'm at least somewhat interested in her. But it just really depends a lot on the context. How to wingman a beginner? It's a good question, actually. I don't think I've gotten that one before. How to wingman a beginner? Well, you probably want to explain to them, some general guidelines and shit, like general things that they should do, like, in a polite, respectful way. So, like the things I would stress is like, yeah, man, like, if you see me talking to a girl, that generally means that's the girl. I mean, I probably wouldn't like go out with a beginner, to be honest. Oh no, actually, no. I have my close friends who I've known for a while. A lot of them are like beginners when it comes to game. But generally, I'll be like, yeah, man, like, if you see me talking to a girl, it means I probably like her. So, just like don't come in that set. If you see me talking to 2 or 3 set, then feel free to come in. Up to you. But honestly, like when your game gets to a certain point, it's almost like it's really hard for a wing to like fuck shit up for me because I can just kind of calibrate to the situation. Like I was out yesterday walking around with my roommate, and I approached like this like a 5 set. One of the girls was really hot, and he was like, yeah, I wasn't sure if I should come in or not. I was like, it actually doesn't really matter. Like it's up to you, because either way, like I can more or less probably handle the situation. So yeah, just a lot of it is also preference. Like I used to have a buddy who I'd go out with, and he hated it. Like if he was talking to like 2 or 3 girls, he hated it if you came in. Like that was his like big thing. He used to like want to do everything himself. So like, you just have to adjust versus other guys. They'll almost blame you if you don't come in like, bro, you left me fucking hanging. So a lot of it also depends on the person. All right. Guys, we do not delete messages. So if you don't see a message show up, that means it's probably something with a lag or something like that. So we have not deleted a single message so far. So you guys can just if you get that, I don't know why, like every live stream I do, people accuse me of like deleting messages. The only times I've ever done that is when the guest who was on like insisted that we delete troll comments, which doesn't happen that often. But yeah, so just repost your question, whatever again. Thoughts on bringing a fuck buddy on a vacation? Really, again, a lot of it depends. Like, what kind of vacation is it? Where are you going? How long? How well do you like this person? Do you like just fucking her, or do you actually have a really good time together and you enjoy her company? So that last one is probably, the biggest factor. John Anthony Brazilian girl was legit hottie. She is definitely a legit hottie. I like her. Do you use Seeking? No, I have not used Seeking. I used to fuck with Seeking all the time, and I wrote about that. But no, I have not used Seeking in probably close to 3 years. Simply, it's unnecessary for me at this point. Like I just have more than enough leads coming in from dating apps, and just the whatever, doing day game when I occasionally venture out of my cave. So it's just largely unnecessary for me. Also, I found the girls, even though they're super hot on Seeking, like don't get me wrong, I bang some of the hottest girls ever on Seeking Arrangement. I banged a porn star. I banged like just like it was a lot of like cool sexual fantasies that happen as a result of Seeking. But on average, in terms of personalities, you'll get the biggest pieces of shit on there. Like the girls who are just fucking relentless gold diggers who have like no work ethic, no stuff. Like I don't know. Like I mean, there's some decent girls on there, but like in terms of personalities, it's just depressing, honestly. First time with an 8.10, went to hers and I couldn't get hard. She ghosted. I felt it a few months. Said bottle of wine again. She said, you and your bottle of wine, haha. Yeah, I mean, well, generally speaking, if you can't get hard, a lot of girls will not give you a second chance. Like, so that's like kind of like, you know, a lot of girls, unless they're like in the porn industry or something like that, or, you know, they really know, they almost take it as a personal slight. They're like, oh, if he didn't get hard, he probably doesn't like me, doesn't find me attractive. Like a lot of chicks don't realize that there's like a whole, you know, series of reasons why a man might not get hard, including anxiety, including lack of sleep that day. So, but chicks are usually not aware of this. So generally speaking, it's a low probability just because of that. She said, you and your bottle of wine, haha. I would probably follow up with like, yes, comma, but I know you love my bottle of wine or something like that. I would need to see more of the context, but I would just kind of, you know, own it and probably proceed with some humor. Do you have any STDs, any pregnancy scares? How do you tackle these? No. Well, you generally, if you use condoms, you're not going to get STDs or you're not going to get girls pregnant. So generally speaking, unless it's a girl who I'm seeing, I do try to use condoms. I went through a period of my life where I wasn't that good about it, like probably between 25 and 27, where I was just kind of jaded and I wasn't really careful. And then I got chlamydia and I was like, okay, yeah, probably not a good idea. So, you know, obviously it's not a big deal. You can knock it out with I knocked it out with literally 3 days worth of antibiotics. But, you know, after that, I was like, you know, I probably should be a little more careful. It's not so much I care about getting STDs. I just don't like the feeling of then spreading it to other people because I just, you know, I don't want to be like responsible for something like that. In terms of pregnancy scares, no, not really. Honestly, I think that I might be infertile because I have never had a pregnancy scare in my life, despite like, you know, all the girls I've banged and, you know, all the girls who I was seeing who I didn't use condoms with and all the questionable pullouts that I've had. So yeah, I've always wondered if I'm like even capable of having a child. But that's a good thing, natural vasectomy. So yeah, but generally speaking, to answer your question, I try to use condoms. I try to be careful. I also don't hook up with like ghetto or sketchy girls. You know, I try to go for like more like, you know, decent chicks. Like I don't hook up with like, you know, like just really trashy chicks. So that's also a big one. How can I get girls' number off Instagram? So check out my video. I have how to, I think it's literally called How to Talk to Girls on Instagram. So I kind of explain all that. Give us the info on Summit in Colombia. So yeah, there's unfortunately no info to be had. We were planning initially on doing it right around, we would have done it in this fall, but COVID happened. And so we're just seeing what happens with the COVID thing. Like we want the travel restrictions to open up and shit to open up before we do a summit. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to like fucking, first of all, like it's debatable whether they'll even let us rent out, you know, an area in Colombia, and a lot of guys are not going to be able to travel because of that. So a lot of it's just a waiting game at this point. Like my honest opinion is that unless, I think that by next summer, the COVID situation will be a lot better. Like I think that at that point, like people would have just gotten tired of it, and you know there'll be a vaccine. People will be like, you know what, like it's a overrated flu. So I think that, at least hoping, but my honest opinion is that by that point it should be good. So given that, I would say it's realistic to shoot for the summit either next summer or that fall. So that's like a more realistic date. And we haven't completely decided in Colombia. It might be in Brazil. It might be in Eastern Europe. But generally, it's just going to be an epic event. I'm going to get all the top speakers, like all the guys who actually know their shit. There's going to be some rules. Like, for example, the thing that sucks about most summits, like Sopa Summit, why did it suck, you know, in the last year or two? Because it just became, the whole thing was just a giant sales pitch. Same with RSD summits. It's just like the whole speech is just guy trying to get you to buy his shit, which fucking sucks. Now, of course, as a coach, you know, we do have to get sales. But the rule I'm going to make is that if you're a speaker, you cannot pitch your product or your service for more than 5 minutes. So the vast majority, like 98% of your speech has to be value. So we're going to have rules like that. We're going to do like workshops. So there's going to be like, you know, like We're gonna take picture, help you guys with pictures, help you guys with your text game. We'll have help you guys at the gym, just shit like that. So I want it to be like a 4 to 7 day event full of value, the most epic speakers, just like a really good time. And I want to be in a country where everyone can get laid. Hey, I just got out of a long 5-year relationship and just realized I suck at talking to women. What's the best place to start in terms of practicing social skills? Honestly, everywhere, man. Like, just kind of goes back to what I said to the other person. Get dating apps. Talk to girls that you see walking around during the day. Talk to girls who you know in real life. Talk to girls at bars when you go out with your friends. So really just dive in. Don't focus too much on one platform, medium. Focus on just have a very broad view and just try to get as many experiences as possible. Hey, Alex, what is the high status attractive way to respond to a girl who backs out from hooking up due to guilt of having a boyfriend? I would really need to see the context, but I would probably take some of the pressure off. So I'd probably say it depends. Again, it really depends on the context and how explicit you went with text. But if you never explicitly said that you want to fuck her, I would say, I understand, but when did I say, or I appreciate your honesty, but when did I say anything about hooking up? Right? Just kind of take that almost like a takeaway then, and then just be like, look, let's just meet and have a bottle of wine, no expectations. So kind of take that pressure off from her. Never been really dominant sexually. What is the best way to start? Well, I want to preface this by saying that you don't have to be super dominant sexually if that's not your thing. I would say, okay, if we look at it on a spectrum, 0 being super vanilla, plain, timid, and 10 being just extremely 50 Shades of Grey, whatever, super fucking dominant, all to the next level. I'll probably put myself at a 6 or 6.5. I'm not super duper fucking dominant in bed. That's just not really my personality. So I don't force myself to do something that I'm not. So it's not so much about kind of getting to that next level. It's just about kind of being able to have the kind of sex that you want. And for me, the kind of sex I want is, where I'm I don't know how much I can say on a YouTube live, but where I'm slapping the girl's ass, lightly choking her, pulling her hair. We're having really passionate sex, but I also want her to I don't want her to just be purely myself. I want her to get excited and ride my dick and be like, oh daddy, I want her to grab me and shit like that. So it's just, again, I wouldn't say it's just so much about trying to become more dominant sexually. It's more about just getting in tune with what you're into. And in terms of that, just try shit that you like don't be afraid. Just kind of, the more you try, the more you put yourself out there, the easier and easier it becomes. And the less you kind of put stigma on yourself in terms of your kinks. But you'll find that unless you're into some real weird shit, that most girls are going to be down. All right. We met on Tinder and hooked up for a few months before she went back to college. So we have some chemistry. Don't want to fall into a platonic text relationship. Okay. So he's giving context for the last question. How to don't want to fall into platonic text relationship. So we have some chemistry. How would you go about contacting her? I mean, how far away do you guys live? I think that's going to be another question. So my follow-up questions are, how far away do you guys live from each other? And also, what exactly do you want? Do you want to just bang her at some point again, or do you want to actually be in an exclusive relationship with this girl? So I would need to know those two things to accurately answer. How do you ask the girl to come back home after walking in a park as they feel safe to me in public on a first date? So I just lead them to my place. So I don't say, hey, do you want to go back to my house? I think that's suboptimal game. I'll just lead her to my place. I'll just be like, oh, cool, let's go here. And I'll just lead her to my place. And I'll act like it's no big deal and just invite her inside. And, I'll also probably plant the seed. I might say something I'll say, oh, do you like wine? She'll be like, yeah, I like wine. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. We should have some wine. And then I'll just lead her. And she'll be like, oh, where? I'm like, don't worry. I know just the spot. And then I'll just lead her to my place. And if you do that, you will get way higher close rate. I used to 6-7 years ago when I was still figuring out game, I used to go for the, I'll be like, hey, you want to go back to my place? Sometimes chicks would say yes. Sometimes chicks would say no. But then when I started baby stepping into my place and just leading, things got a lot better. Okay. I don't know when to invite the girl out via text. I think my problem is that I text too much and it die out. When to invite her via text, soft close and all. When you see investment. So when the girl starts investing in the conversation, that's a good time to go for the meetup. Generally speaking, there's a lot of exceptions here and ifs, ands, and buts. But you can post some screenshots in the forums, and then I'll take a look and tell you, when you could have done better. Okay. Help. 37 Asian immigrant accent. Having matches on Hinge by hiding my background. Girls ghost me after video chatting date on my background. No matches after putting my back. Yeah, I think that. Okay, so I don't think it's the Asian. Like I know Asian guys in the mastermind who are crushing it. Multiple Asian guys. So it's not that like. And dude, you're not hiding it. Like chick sees a picture of you. She knows you're Asian. Like so, a chick who likes you. And matches with your profile is cool with hooking up with an Asian guy. It's probably just that your game is off and that you're probably your game is pretty bad, and then that's what's turning girls off, not the fact that you're Asian. It's not like like, oh my god, he's Asian. I totally thought he was going to be black. Like that's just not what's happening. So I think the issue is your game. I don't think it's the fact that you're Asian. What are the cues you look for and body language you look for once you're back at the crib after they take control and initiate the sex? So check out the video I have on this, how to read a girl's body language. Like I literally show you demonstrations. But to sum it up, is she sitting like this and away from you, or is her body language open and she's kind of leaning in? Like is she touching? That's a big one. Like does she ever like put her hand on her arm like playfully? Like that's a big sign. Is she like closed off, or is her body language open? But yeah, check out the video because I give like an actual demonstration in there. All right. EDMP uses SA for most of his leads. Will he do it? So that's not necessarily true. Lately he has switched a lot, and he's now most of his leads are actually coming from Tinder. Will he do an SA salt? Yeah, we already have a guide out in the product. So yeah, that's already out there. I did have a video on how to get laid on seeking arrangement, but we had legal issues with SA. So we're not going to be making any more public content on that simply because I don't want to have a giant legal battle with, fucking seeking arrangement. But yeah, so that what you're talking about is already out there. Would you rather be a 6'2" with a 5'10" face or 5'7" with a 10.5-10 face? Interesting question. I think I would probably rather be a 6'2" with a 5'10" face because I can, through certain things, I could probably get my face to like a 6-ish, like just by keeping my facial hair on point, getting really clear skin, like maybe even plastic surgery. Like if my face is something that's massively off, probably not. I probably wouldn't do that, but I could probably get my face to like a 6 out of 10. Just by putting on muscle, your jawline will generally become more square, but height you have no control over. So probably the first one. So again, openers are openers. You can check out the video we have, where we actually did a case study where we tested, 10 openers on a bunch of girls, and actually Hey Trouble was not in like the top 3 at all. So I think one of them was Can I Be Honest? That was one of the top ones. But check out the video. We literally break down like the opener and then what percentage of the girls it works with. Okay. Is it okay to keep a kind of grainy, cool pic, or should all pics be sharp? Really just depends on how grainy the pic is, man. So, and also what kind of picture is it? Picture photo quality is not that as big of a factor as a lot of people make it out to be, but it's more of like a threshold thing. So as long as your picture is just above a certain quality, what you can do is you can post a picture to the forums, and we'll give you the yes or no. What's your take on meditation? I think it's really helpful. I mean, there's been so many studies done on, the effects of meditation. I think it's like scientifically proven. There's a lot of hokey pokey bullshit in the self-development community, but meditation has been like extensively studied and it's proven to be effective. I don't know anyone who tried meditation, who committed to it and then said it was a waste of time. That like never happens. And I personally noticed that when I meditate, I'm more grounded and calm like when I'm interacting with girls, like when I get into the habit of meditating. So I personally notice an effect of my game. So I think it's great. And honestly, like I should meditate more. Like I kind of sometimes forget about it. I just put it off. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it later. I'm gonna do it later. And I just get busy. And then like 3 a.m. comes around. I'm like really tired. So I can't meditate because I'm gonna fall asleep. So it's definitely something I should do more often for sure. I think it's great. What's the best place for 45 to women in their 30s? Well, honestly, seeking arrangement would probably be like top of the list. But yeah, I mean that's a whole fucking rabbit hole. Aside from that, dating apps honestly would be a big one, like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. Get on those. You can also, hypothetically speaking, change your age. So instead of 45, you're 39. You can kind of do that. A lot of guys do that. A lot of young girls also want to meet an older guy. A big factor is going to be how good your profile is. So like abs are abs. So if a chick sees that you have like a good body or you have cool life, like she's being like, okay, he's a little bit older than me, but like I really want to fuck him. So a big part of it is also going to be pimping out your profile. Do you go to RSD Vegas Summit? I thought I saw you gaming. Nope, I've never been to RSD Vegas Summit. I might have been in Vegas around that period. Like I used to, 2016, I was still living in LA. And when I lived in LA, we would take trips to Vegas like every other month. She even said, I reminded her of her character in her fantasy book, but she got freaked out. What's her? I kind of lost the context here. I'm trying to remember Steve Rosales. Can you kind of repost? Because I'm kind of forgetting the context here of what the initial question or comment was. Is there ever an age when it's over? Can you still game? It's subjective. I mean, look at Hugh Hefner. He was like in his late 80s? Correct me if I'm wrong, and still like getting way more pussy than 99.9% of men. It really depends. But I mean, it also depends on you. Like me personally, I don't think I want to be doing pickup when I'm in my, like 50s. Like I just don't. Like at that point, I'd rather, either be in like a real relationship or be getting a lot of chicks as a result of my like lifestyle and like whatever status. So I think a lot of it depends on personal preference. But yeah, like if you're somebody, you're not going to be doing cold approach. Older guys generally meet girls more from like either status or like social circle or bars. They're not really like like a 60-year-old is not running around the streets and just approaching chicks. What do you think of Facebook's new dating feature release recently? It seems I get more matches on than I've honestly never tried it because I'm banned from Facebook. But my old roommate used to do a lot of Facebook dating. He actually did get a lot of hot chicks on there. So I've heard that there's a lot of hot girls on there, like really hot. But in terms of like how effective it is, I honestly don't know. Due to COVID and other reasons, I have bad logistics and need to work on my pictures as well. I watched your video you had on bad logistics, but felt more. No, I mean, the video I have, you're talking about the how to get laid even if you still live with your parents. I mean, no, like that video is not for temporary circumstances. It makes no difference. You still would take the same approach if this is a permanent circumstance or it's temporary. But even that being said, like you should only see this as a temporary circumstance. Like you don't want to be living with your parents or having bad logistics for the rest of your life. So this is a temporary circumstance. Hopefully in the next 6 to 12 months you'll have better logistics. So yeah, I mean, I would still 100% apply the advice that I talk about in the video. Right. South Asian with no social skills. The girls that I have talked to get disinterested when I try to get to the next point. So gain some social skills, man. I mean, having a lack of social skills is unattractive, regardless of what ethnicity you are. White guys with no social skills don't get laid. Black guys with no social skills don't get laid. Asian guys with no social skills don't get laid. Fucking aliens with no social skills don't get laid, I assume. So yeah, man, it just the thing for you is just going to be to build your social skills. It's not like so much your ethnicity. Can you do more videos on that topic? I want to make more videos if you guys want, but honestly, I don't think I can because I've had good logistics for the past few years because I set my life up in a way where I will have good logistics. So I could only do that video because I was during that month staying with my mom. So I actually had to experience bad logistics. I can only talk about topics that I have personal experience in. But I think that you'll need another video on the topic. Like that video explains exactly what you need to do. Like it's a 30-minute video, and I think that's all you honestly need on bad logistics. You ever pulled a threesome cold approach? I did, but it was pure luck. Threesome from cold approach. No, the threesomes. Wait. No, the threesomes I had were either from like going to swinger parties or from online. I don't think I've ever had a threesome from cold approach. Hi, Alex. How do you meditate? Thanks. I mean, there's so many different ways of meditation, and I'm so far from an expert on this topic. Personally, what I do, or at least what I've been doing lately, is Wim Hof method, which is a variation of meditation. So you can, that's a whole thing to get into, but you can just YouTube it. But basically, it's just a form of breathing exercises. So that's personally what's worked better for me compared to other methods. But what I used to do before that was just honestly just sit there. I would put like a timer on my phone for 5 minutes. And during that time, I would just try to focus on my breath. But there's apps, there's like Headspace, there's so many different types of meditation. So I think that you just got to do what works for you. Soapot Summit is fun and everyone goes, but John Anthony F's it up and says it's all sales pitch 1 hour, but Soapot is great. Cool, man. Yeah, I mean, you know, how great can it be if I'm not there? But yeah. No, I think Soapot was decent when I was there, but you know, it's definitely gone downhill since that time. Like ever since you know, the leadership changed and you know who runs it changed. But much respect to Matthias. I mean, he's great. He's one of the organizers, so I think you know he does everything he can to make sure it's a good, well-run event. I recently met a cool, fun girl on election day. We were hitting it off, so I got her number after series of exchanges. I ended up texting her if she wanted to split a bottle of wine. Wait, let me get to the part 2 of this text. Oh, why is it not showing up? It's so odd. I'm not seeing the part 2 of the text. Yeah, man, I don't know. For some reason, I'm not seeing the part 2 of the text. So can you just post that? Yeah, post 2 out of 2. What would be your ethical boundaries in gaming? Interesting question. What would be my ethical boundaries? I don't like to lie, or I don't like to do hard lies. I have no problem with doing white lies, but I don't want to do hard lies. Like I don't want to, yeah, no hard lies. That would probably be one of them. I don't care. I don't care if the chick has a boyfriend. That does not bother me at all. Or husband. I fucked so many chicks like who were married and shit, so that doesn't bother me at all. One big one is I would never ever hook up with like a friend's girlfriend or ex-girlfriend without their full consent. So this is why I see this so much, and it boggles my mind. Like if I know that girl is a girl who my friend's been with, or who my friend is with, or my friend really likes, right, and like that's like his girl, I will, before doing anything, I will check with a guy, because that's just like, friends always come first for me. So that would be a big one. What else? Ethical boundaries in game. No hard lies, no friends, girls. Those are the ones that come to my mind. Obviously, the girl has to be over 18. That's for ethical and legal reasons. Privacy. I take privacy very seriously. So, obviously, you see me writing about live layer reports and blah, blah, blah. I'll never like dox a girl. Even if she really annoys me, I'll never dox a chick. So I'll never give away any personal information or anything like that. Anything that could get her in trouble with her career or anything like that. So privacy, I take very seriously. I would say those are the big 3 that come to mind. I'm sure there's more, but I would say those are the big ones. Do you ever get depressed nowadays? Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think that everyone does. My depression is probably a lot different than your depression. For me, I mean, I don't like to call it like depression. I just get like bummed out from time to time. But yeah, I think like a lot of it for me is just due to like my fucking neck injury and like getting Lyme disease, which 2 things that like kind of fuck with me, because I'll go to the gym and I'll want to like fucking lift really heavy, and then like my neck starts acting up and I'll get super frustrated and I'll be like, fuck this shit, like fucking bullshit. Yeah, it's mainly related to that for me, at least personally, because everything else, even that is within my control to some extent, but everything else I have like a lot more control over. But yeah, I mean, it happens to everyone. There's a lot of things you can do to mitigate that. Like, for example, a lot of supplements you can take, like ashwagandha, is a big one. You can do low dose naltrexone, which again is also, really effective for depression for a lot of people. A lot of things like kratom, kava are great. Big one of it is just having, a lot of friends and just making time for social connections. So I try to dedicate at least a few hours every day to catching up with my friends. Like I'll call my mom, call my dad, call my close friends, and just like try to do at least once a week. I try to like do a get together with like all the people who I like who live in my city, where we like whole evening, like I don't touch my phone, just hang out with like people who I like. So that's I generally found that's a big one. Whenever I've been traveling and like I'm by myself and I was alone and isolated, like I would notice that even though the thrill of the travel was fun, I would just kind of get like bummed out just like by being isolated. I have a dog who I love, so I play with my dog all the time. That's a big one. A lot of it is also just taking action. So I get bummed out when I like start stagnating in life and everything feels like the same day in, day out. So I like try to have like, I'm like, okay, this is my goal. So I'll write out goals every week. I'm like, this is the goal that I need to hit. In order to hit this goal, I need to do this, this, and this. And then it becomes kind of like a game. I get almost bummed out when like I just don't get a lot of shit done. Like when I feel like I've wasted a day. So I try to like, avoid that. What else? I think exercise is huge. So even though my neck is kind of fucked up now, like just going to the gym and doing what I can, like doing like even something, like I notice has like a big effect on my mood. So when I don't exercise for a period of time, like definitely my mood on average goes down. So I would say those are like the big ones. Sex, but I mean, that hasn't been an issue for me in a while. But generally speaking, I like to like, have sex at least like 3-4 times a week, often more, but like at least like that. I find sex like, I don't know, like releases endorphins and makes you happy. So yeah, those are the big things for me. I've been DMing a lot of girls on Instagram. I'm noticing the trend of girls liking my message and replying. How do you? So usually if a girl's liking a message and replying on Instagram, it's a sign of low interest. So you can say, 2020, we're liking a message counts as a response. And you can say that, but she might just like that message anyway. That'll be kind of ironic. But yeah, so I would follow up with something along the lines of that. What's a decent and expensive? Oh, I get this question a lot. Honestly, you're better off asking that question to like my mom or my dad. I really don't know that much about wine. I know personally I like white wines. Riesling is probably my favorite. Rieslings or Pinot Grigio that are more on the sweet side is what I prefer. So I generally try to get those. I don't have like a specific brand. Like I probably I like California wines and South American wines. I don't really go for the European stuff that much, simply because I think that Europe keeps most of their good shit like in Europe, and the shit that comes to America, at least the inexpensive stuff, is not that great. New Zealand wines are great, but those are also kind of hard to come by sometimes. So yeah, generally speaking, California or South America, like Chile or Argentina. Personally, I do like Rieslings or Pinot Grigios. But generally, I try to keep a bottle of red and white, and then like a bottle of tequila and a bottle of vodka. So like a girl has options. But also, one thing that happens is like a lot of people gift me wine. Like we had a get together yesterday, and like 3 different people brought like different bottles of wine. So like a lot of the wine I have is just what was gifted to me. That like, so I'm not even like buying my own wine. It's just kind of like accumulating because I don't really drink that much. So it lasts a while. I went last few years, so someone was fun except for a couple speakers like SQL kept trying to sell products. Yeah, I mean, I like Andrew from SQL, but yeah, it's like a balance because at one end, like from a coach's perspective, like an event like Soap Summit, we're not getting paid anything at all to be there, and we're spending like probably $1,000 to fly there for lodging and all of that. So really, if we don't sell some products, we just lost money. So that's a big issue. So that's why for the PWF event, we're going to change that. So all the money that we get, the big issue with these events is all the ticket sales and stuff. It just goes to one person. So the money just goes to like, one company or one person, and the rest of the speakers kind of get fucked. So with the event that I'm planning on doing, all the money, we're going to first subtract expenses, obviously, like to host the event. After that, all the money is going to be evenly divided amongst all speakers. So my goal is so that every speaker like doesn't does not, at least breaks even by going to the event. So they all, their airfare is paid for, their lodging is paid for, so no one is like losing money by going there. So that will take away the incentive to need to sell a lot of products, right? Like, because at that point, it's like, okay, well, at the very least, I had a good time. So I think a lot of it just comes down to properly organizing that event, which is rarely done in the pickup community, but I want to be the first one to do that. Okay, let's see. We're going to go for, my voice is starting to give out. We're going to go for like another 20 minutes, guys. So yeah, what's your idea of an amazing first date? Honestly, where we have epic sex and then she makes a video for my YouTube channel and that video gets 1 million views. I mean, something along the lines of that, like really good sex. We play with my dog and we make a video for my YouTube channel. I got banned Tinder when I create a new one with a new number. It doesn't work. Looks like I've been banned for life. No, there's ways around that. We have an article coming out literally like within the next week about how to, because this has been so highly in demand. We always get asked this question, how to get unbanned from Tinder. But in the meantime, there's so many articles on this topic. Just type in banned from Tinder, how to do a Tinder reset when banned. So no, you're not fucked. I always finish before the girl because it started making erotic noises and it turns me on too much. Any tips to overcome this? Just come and then fuck her afterwards, or you can pull out and eat her out. So I talk about this in like other videos, but you can just like when you get close to coming, you just pull out, you eat her out, and then get her really close to orgasm with your mouth, and then put your dick back in and make them come with your dick, and then you come like at the same time. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is try kratom because it makes you last a lot longer. Or you can just come and then blame it on her. Be like, holy shit, you're so fucking sexy. I don't want to come, but you're going to fucking make me come. Like, fuck you. I hate you. You're making me come. And the girl, 99% of girls are going to get super into that. And after you come, you just fuck them again or you eat them out. So, yeah, lots of solutions here. Interested in learning more about the subscription and product, offering premium, playing with fire, is a recurring monthly cost or one-off price. So the way it works is that the product itself currently right now costs $169, right? Then with the purchase of the product, you get access to the PWF Mastermind for free for the first month. After that, it's $39 a month if you want to stay in the Mastermind. Now, you can, for example, buy the product and cancel on the 30th day, and then you never get charged another $1 and you get a month free of the Mastermind. Or you can cancel on day one also. We'll keep you in the Mastermind for 30 days. But anyway, so you can do that. Or you can, stay in the Mastermind for ages. Or there's also an option we have once you're actually in the Mastermind, you can upgrade to years of membership at a discount. So instead of paying $39 a month, it comes out to something like $20 a month. It's like almost half off because you prepay for a year. So there's a lot of different options that you can do. We had one guy like fucking prepay for the rest of his life. We gave, I don't even know how much. I think we charged him like $1,000 to like access to the member, or like $800 to access to the Mastermind for life. But yeah, so there's a lot of different options. But basically, yeah, so it's price for the product and then the price for the Mastermind, but you get the first month free with the purchase of the product. All right, what else we got? Okay, when talking to a girl at a bar or public, what type of body language should you have? So I don't really like to focus Will Freeman. That's funny. In case you guys are not familiar, Will Freeman is the name that the guy from Revolutionary Lifestyle Design goes for, which was a big inspiration for me when I was creating the, I don't agree with everything he says, but it was definitely a big source of inspiration for me when creating, PWF. But anyway, so I generally don't focus on the body language that much, simply because I don't want to be overanalyzing. So I just kind of go in there and I just try to show, just try to be as easy as possible and show intent. I let my subconscious kind of take over, everything else. But I guess it took me a while to get there. So, initially I would say don't be meek. Don't be you want to take up space. Just take up space. Don't actually crossing your arms, I guess, okay. But generally speaking, I want to take up space. You don't want to lean too far in. Another big one is if the girl is sitting, you don't want to be standing, right? So you want to be, if the girl's sitting, you want to sit. If the girl's standing, then it doesn't matter as much. Or if the girl's standing, you're sitting, invite her to sit. That's usually the best way to go. But yeah, generally speaking, take up space. Don't lean in too far. Also, don't be like too fucking laid back where you're like falling off the chair. There's a nice balance there. Right. I'm from an old school and don't have much experience texting women, or rather, I don't have game. How do I get about discovering my own game? Practice, man. Just put yourself out there and try. I mean, get the PWF online dating blueprint, which gives you a step-by-step guide. But yeah, like I kind of mentioned this to other people, like my earlier responses, like try cold approach, try every dating app, try, well, not every, but try like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. Try day game, try night game, try being, people through your friends. So just try every avenue and see which one you prefer. All right, guys, we're going to go for like maybe 10 more minutes because my voice is starting to crap out. That's the tricky thing about me doing these live Q&As by myself. My voice just starts to like give out after an hour. Okay, we can answer this question. Dating apps versus cold approach. So I have a video on this. It's called, I think it's legit called Dating Apps versus Cold Approach, some variation of that. But they're two sides of the same coin. I do both. I'm mainly focused on teaching dating apps because that's where I feel like I'm really proficient in. I'm still pretty good at cold approach, but I feel like I'm not like, I don't know, like I feel like dating apps is more my forte. But I like to do both. Like I like to, meet girls from dating apps. I like to meet girls from, walking around, and while I walk my dog, I like to meet girls from bars. Sometimes I meet girls, through people who I know, through other girls. So yeah, I mean, I think they have their pros and cons, and you check out their video or kind of break it down. There's definitely some advantages to dating apps and some advantages to cold approach. How do you counteract? You don't counteract the Tinder algorithm. You understand it, and then you basically adjust your strategy to maximize it. Indian P did RSD boot camps. How did that help his game, and how long has he used sugar daddy websites? I'm Brown. Curious to hear if this is okay. So he did 1 hour's. Wait, did he? I need to double check this. I'm not sure if he. I think he might have done 1 RSD boot camp. I have to double check this with him. I'm kind of forgetting. But it didn't help him at all. Like his game was total fucking dog shit when he was following RSD closely. He was getting no pussy. He was still a virgin. And he kind of, if you go back on the channel and you check out the 2-part interview I did with him, like where we talk about, what his journey was like, he explains that he had a really big ego attached to the game, even though he was getting no results. So when other people would be like, hey man, you should try this, he'd be like, no, RSD says this, but he was getting like no results. So yeah, so that definitely did not do anything to help his game. How long has he used sugar dating websites? I was definitely into it before he was. So I kind of got him into it, I think, or like, no, he wanted to try it because he heard about it from me. And then I kind of like gave him the basics. But at that point I was already like on my way out. So this was probably 3 years ago or something like that he tried sugar daddy websites, but he was already like, by that point, he was already getting laid, like from cold approach and, all that. So it wasn't like that was the only thing. And like nowadays his like I've lived with him for a year. I've seen him pull girls from cold approach. He mainly does night game. For some reason, he doesn't like day game as much. So he mainly goes to bars and does night game. But yeah, he'll grind it out until like 3 or 4 a.m. and then come back with a chick at like fucking 5 a.m. as I'm passing out. Thanks for giving such thoughtful answers. No problem. What's your IQ? Dude, I honestly don't know. I've never measured it. Probably above average. I don't want to like flex about something so retarded, but I got 2,000 in my SATs, which I guess is, probably highly correlated to IQ. So yeah, I don't know. I was always above average intelligence, but I wouldn't say I'm like a genius. All right, we'll take like 2 or 3 more questions. So when in set, should I focus more on basics like voice, eye contact, or should I be more focused on the best thing to say? I would say basics, probably. Yeah, it's more of that because best thing to say, there's often not a best thing to say. And if you're too focused on what exactly you're saying, you're going to come off a little too scripted and too rigid. That's why I'm not a big fan of like scripts or like really like, I don't know, like whatever, like written out, like, pre-planned game. Like I just generally like to free flow and just kind of improvise. So I would say focus on the first one. All right, let's just take this question. Context. Dating conservative college girl got very sexual explicit without actually taking jeans off. She was moaning and left because of strict curfew. Now doesn't want to date. Now doesn't want to date. Feels dated. Okay. But she texted me. She no longer wants to see each other. Okay, it was 2 weeks ago, but now I got her came out. So that again, this is the reason why I don't go for super conservative college girls, because they have so much shame around sex, and like I don't want to deal with that. Like I want a chick who likes sex and is like not ashamed to admit it. And like obviously every girl likes sex, but I like girls who are just like, yeah, I love a good fucking. Like she's not ashamed about it. We can talk about sex. Like I don't have to deal with this weird like fucking self-shaming that she has. But now and that's very common. So it sounds like what happened is that you hit the point of no return, which basically is going to vary based on the girl. But it's a point that you get to, and that if at that point sex does not happen, the girl is going to pull back. So what happens is, I'll explain the psychology. The girl goes home, and let's say you have a good date, and then at the end of it, you come close to sex, like really close. You hit the point of no return, but sex does not happen. So she goes home. And she starts thinking, and this is usually subconscious. It's not like she's not actually like saying this out loud, but she's like, you know what, like we came really close to sex, but it didn't happen. And she's like, you know what, like, yeah, probably he wasn't, we didn't have really that good chemistry. That's probably, she starts justifying why it didn't happen. Yeah, and maybe he was a little too pushy. Yeah, I don't like that in a guy. Yeah, and he didn't buy me a drink. I don't like that either. And then she starts backwards rationalizing, and when she's done, she's basically like saying shit like, oh, I feel disrespected, right? Now, let's say same exact situation, but sex happens. And she's going to backwards rationalize that. And she's going to be like, yeah, we had sex. I don't usually do this. I must really like the guy. Yeah, he was really persistent. I like that in a man. So, same exact setup, but something that, this one difference, whether sex happens or not, can make a big difference in terms of how the girl feels about you the next day due to backwards rationalization. So, what's her advice? I mean, again, like I don't know exactly what you should say. I would probably I would not sexualize or text with her. I would probably just try to get her out for a bottle of wine. Like I would probably just invite her to your place to have some wine and save the escalation for in person. I would probably get a little bit of a back and forth going over text before going for the meetup. So I would probably just be like, like whatever, like something contextual that is humorous. Probably start with that. Then get a little bit of banter back and forth, then follow all the steps of optimally closing, soft close, ask for a schedule, then hard close. Okay, we'll take one more question. Okay, just got a match. Now I got her with Snapchat. So that's the mistake right there. You don't really want to fuck with Snapchat. I think it's largely a waste of time. I have a video on this where I kind of break down the logic. But yeah, when you get a match on Tinder or something like that, just get her, once you, build investment and make plans, then you want to move her over text, not Snapchat. Okay, I want to hit one more question because that's kind of not the best one. All right, so I don't remember you show us on a video what happened after sex. That was hot. Would it be possible to make a video on to show how you text a girl and add her in your rotation? So I actually have a video on that, actually, like literally what you're describing. That already exists. I think I need to do some kind of like a I don't know, like a table of contents or something like that, because quite often I get asked if I can make a video on something that I've already made videos on. So I think that video is called like how to text girls who you've slept with or something like that. But I did it like 3 to 4 months ago. But yeah, so that definitely exists already. And I actually have an article on that as well, I believe. No, just the video, The written part is in the product. Okay, well, let me take one last question. This is an interesting one. We'll take two. As a younger guy, 19, I get intimidated by older chicks at 24 and up. What's your take on it? Yeah, I mean, just like you have to explore why you get intimidated by them. Like at the end of the day, they're just chicks. I know people who are 19 who've accomplished way more than people in their 40s. I know people in their 40s who haven't done shit, in their life. So I would just like kind of, just the more you experience it, the less intimidated you'll get. So the more you hang out, like when I was younger, I used to be intimidated by all girls. Like when I was 18, 19, I thought girls were these perfect creatures, blah, blah, blah. They were so much above me. I had to like put them on a pedestal. And as I got more and more experience with girls, I realized like, no, like that's nonsense. Like a lot of these chicks, like these super hot Instagram models, they live in like squalor and they like fucking don't have any of their shit together. All they did was just win the genetic lottery, but like their life is a mess. So just go out there and get experiences with older chicks time and time again, and then your perception will change. So I'll take this as the last question. I think you said you did hypnosis before. What do you recommend? I did. I did hypnosis for like half a year. I was going like every other week. I do think it's good. I do think it's legit. I think a lot of it just really depends on you and your problem and what problems you're having. So big issue that I had was that, so hypnosis is basically the state like right before sleep almost. Like the hypnotist, if it's a good hypnotist, he'll take you from, being aware and conscious into the state that's close to sleep, but it's not actually sleep. And if you fall asleep, that ruins the hypnosis. So my big issue is that it was very easy for me to go from hypnosis to sleep. So quite often during our sessions, I would just pass out, and this would happen time and time again. So that made like for the hypnotist working with me a lot harder. But the reason I really stopped is it's just expensive. It was like, I was paying like $200 a session or something, like we're like $180 a session. And I was just like, you know what, there's like other things that I'd rather spend my money on. But it's definitely something I'm probably going to do again at some point. I think a lot of it depends on the skill of the hypnotist. Also, in just like your, just the way, there's a lot of other effective therapies. Like I know one is neurofeedback. That's like, supposed to be very effective. So there's a lot of different options, but I do think hypnosis is definitely at least worth trying. All right, guys, my voice is crapping out, so we're going to call it there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this new microphone that I got. Hopefully the audio quality issue has been resolved. So we have several things coming up. Next Sunday, we have James Tusk coming on as a guest. I'm pretty excited for this one. He mainly focuses on cold approach, and he lives in Europe, so we're going to get a different perspective. And then make sure to check out, I'm going to be going on his channel Tuesday at 9 p.m. So I'll post, I'll make a thing. So that's one thing we have coming up. And then for the next few weeks, we have some very interesting interviews that are in the works. If there's someone that you guys really want to see me get on, it's really helpful if you can actually like contact that person or just write in the comments like, hey, you should come on PWF. Like the more, I hate like asking other people to do work for me, but in this case, it's like helpful because there's only so much I can do, especially the bigger channels. But if you guys are like, in the comments, like, yo, you should come on PWF, you plant the idea in that person's head, my likelihood of getting them on is a lot higher. So like several people who I'm trying to currently get on are like Tay Social, AMS, Todd Valentine, Alex Social. So there's several guests who I'm like, I have kind of in the works, but not really. Stephus Gold is another one, How to Beast. So yeah, the more you guys can like post in their comments, letting them know that they should come on my channel, the higher chance I have of getting them on. So we have some awesome interviews coming up. We're doing something special for Black Friday. I'm not going to give away too much information. It's not necessarily a sale, so don't assume it's that. It's going to be something interesting. But anyway, so stay up tuned to that. We have some good articles coming out this month. A lot of good shit. Thank you guys for joining. We'll be on again, as I said, on Sunday with James Tusk. And awesome. We have some great videos coming out this week as well, so you don't want to miss those. All right, guys, thanks for joining. Everyone stay safe and cheers.